11 years ago, I was in my mid 40s. I was out of shape, exhausted from an undiagnosed autoimmune issue, and I felt stuck. The idea of jumping, climbing, or running seemed impossible for so long. But as one year ended and the other began, I made a decision that changed my life. I signed up for a parkour class. Hi, I'm Shelly. I'm 54 now, and I'm here to share what it's been like to spend over a decade doing things I never thought I would be capable of. I didn't start parkour because I was athletic, brave, full of energy. In fact, it was quite the opposite. I'd spent years battling fatigue, chronic pain, and digestive problems. But when I finally started feeling better through changes to my diet, I wanted to do something different, something fun, and something that made me feel alive again. And for me, that was parkour. Not the flashy kind with flips and stunts like you see in movies, but something much simpler, learning to move and trust my body again. Parkour has been about rediscovering movements I loved as a kid, like balancing, climbing, jumping, and proving to myself over and over that it's never too late to try something new. Now, this channel isn't going to be just about parkour. It's about growth. It's about trying new things in your 40s and 50s and beyond. It's about managing self-doubt and learning to advocate for yourself and finding confidence in the most unlikely places. So I'll be sharing stories from my parkour journey, but also about the autoimmune challenges I faced and continue to face, and the diet changes that helped me feel better, and about what I'm learning now about being an introvert and a highly sensitive person and how that has affected my life. If you've ever wondered if it's too late or you're too old to start something new, or if you felt too overwhelmed or out of place to even try, I hope this channel can show you that it's never too late and that every little step forward counts. So today I'm going to share the story of how and why I decided to try parkour. The excitement, the mental hesitation, and the fear. It was December 31st, 2012, New Year's Eve. Now, I'm not usually one for New Year's resolutions, but something about the end of the year always gets me thinking about making changes. And I knew I wanted to get into shape like most people, but here's the thing. I really don't like exercise just for the sake of exercise. Running, lifting weights, endless reps on a treadmill or elliptical. It just doesn't keep me interested enough to make a long-term commitment. I'm easily bored. But I do love to play. As a kid growing up in Oklahoma in the 70s and 80s, play was my kind of exercise. My family had hundreds of acres to roam, and I spent my days running through pastures, usually barefoot, climbing trees, building forts, and jumping across rows of hay bales. That was what I did for fun. But somewhere along the way, all of that stopped. I became an adult with responsibilities. I became a mom, had a desk job, had bills to pay. And but on that New Year's Eve in 2012, sitting at my computer, I realized I missed that version of myself. Somewhere along the way, I'd stopped doing all the things that I loved as a kid. I stopped playing, and instead I sat a lot. But I wanted to feel alive again and young again. So I started Googling things like obstacle course training. And that led me to Tough Mudder and Spartan races. But I don't like mud. I don't like races. And I really don't like muddy races. Plus, there wasn't an actual class I can join. I wasn't looking for competition. I wasn't looking to be timed or tested. I just wanted to climb over stuff, jump over stuff, and maybe find some other people who thought that sounded like a good time. So that's when I stumbled across parkour. I'd heard of it before. My friend had taken her son to a parkour gym, and once I tagged along. I remember watching a bunch of kids running, vaulting, and swinging across obstacles, and it looked like a lot of fun, but at the time, it also looked like their thing and not mine. But then I started to wonder if parkour could be what I was looking for. So I dove into the Google rabbit hole and found videos of 20 something guys leaping between buildings and flipping off rooftops and landing with superhero poses. My first thought was absolutely not. There's no way someone like me could ever do this or even want to do this. I mean, I don't want to jump off buildings. But then I remembered the class I had watched, and they weren't doing anything nearly this complicated or dangerous. It turns out that parkour is about learning to move through your environment in creative and efficient ways, and that's different for everybody. So I started to wonder if someone like me could do that. Of course, then I made the rookie mistake of looking up the fitness requirements to start parkour. So somewhere I read that you should be able to do a certain number of push-ups and pull-ups. I might could have done 2 push-ups at the time on my knees. And pull-ups were completely out of the question. So I thought, okay, I'll get into shape first. I'll at least be able to do 1 pull-up before I walk into a parkour gym. I was so naive. I grabbed my son's door frame pull-up bar and found this tip about negatives. So you stand on a chair, you start with your chin over the bar, and then you slowly lower yourself down. Except there was no slowly. The moment I stepped off the chair, I just dropped like a sack of potatoes. So my pre-parkour training officially ended 1 week later. It turned out I still hated exercise. But the real reason it took me another year to actually step into that parkour gym wasn't my inability to do a pull-up. It was fear. I was scared of rejection. I was scared I wouldn't fit in. I imagine walking into a room full of athletic young guys, having them take one look at me and thinking, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. You're too old. You're too out of shape. And so I let that fear set with me for a year, a whole year. But eventually something shifted. Maybe it was boredom, or maybe it was just the quiet voice in my head saying, what if you're wrong? And thank goodness I listened, because walking into that gym, despite all my fears and insecurities, it turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made, even though I wouldn't realize it for months. So fast forward to the following New Year's Eve, 2013. There I was again, back on my computer, watching parkour videos. This is what I do on New Year's Eve. But this time I stumbled across a video from my local parkour gym. And kids were walking on balance beams. They were jumping from block to block and balancing across different obstacles. And I thought, if this is what a class is like, I think I could do that. So I made a deal with myself. I'd go to 1 class, just 1, to see what it was actually like. And if I didn't like it, no big deal. No one there would know me, and I'd never see those people again. Now, at this point, I hadn't seen anyone my age actually doing parkour. Parkour wasn't well known then, and today most people really don't know what it is. All the videos I came across were filled with teenagers or young men in their 20s or kids. I didn't see women, or many men for that matter, in their 40s or 50s, and I didn't see anyone who looked like me. And honestly, that made it so much harder to picture myself in those classes. If I'd seen just one person, one video of someone my age, someone with my body type doing parkour, I might not have waited an entire year to sign up for that class. Representation matters. Seeing someone like you trying something hard makes it easier to believe you can do it too. but I didn't see that, so I hesitated and I stalled, and eventually I had to rely on a different kind of courage, the kind that whispers, just go anyway, just try it, just don't care what anyone thinks. So finally, I called my friend for backup and I asked, if I try a parkour class, will you try it too? Unfortunately, she said yes. So scary things are so much easier if you have a friend to do them with you. Our original plan was to go to a Sunday night class taught by her son's instructor, but it was full. There was a Monday night class for ages 16 and up, and we thought, well, maybe there will be some other adults there. It was an unknown instructor, so we didn't really know what to expect, but I knew myself well enough that if I waited any longer, I'd probably talk myself out of it. That's something I've done a lot in life, putting things off because they felt scary or uncomfortable or until I'm ready, and then I end up never doing it. I've even put off starting this YouTube channel for years. But this time I didn't let myself back out. So on that Monday night, we walked into our very first parkour class. And let me tell you, I had no idea just how tough it was going to be. By the end of the class, I was shaking, I could barely walk, and I thought, I'm never coming back. But I did come back, and next week, on January 6th, 2012, I'll be celebrating my 11-year parkour anniversary. In that video, I'm going to share the story of that first class. What almost made me give up, what kept me going despite every muscle in my body begging me to stop, as well as the lessons I've carried with me ever since. You know, I started parkour because I wanted something fun and different to shake up my life. But what I didn't expect was just how much it would teach me. Not just about movement, but about resilience, self-doubt, and finding joy in challenges I never thought I could face. So let me ask you, have you ever felt stuck, unsure if it's too late or you're too old to try something? Or maybe you've taken a leap and tried something scary and now you're really glad that you did. If that's you, I'd really love to hear your story. So leave me a comment below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss next week's episode. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon.